Hello everyone. Welcome back for some more Lo-Fi Yoga, where we use the insane super blue moon to release things. So before we begin, let's go ahead and take a deep breath in for 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 3, 2, 1, and breathe out, 2, 3, 4. So obviously I'm recording this post super blue moon in Pisces, and I definitely feel like a lot of old stuff came up, but of course old stuff is always coming up. It's just my life I've accepted, and I've been trying to go with those changes and implement some new ones that I haven't necessarily thought of before. Like, I have a bad habit of scrolling on my phone, either through like TikTok, or I'll just like end up on Reddit, which Reddit is terrible. Let me just tell you right now, Reddit is not the place to be. Neither is TikTok, to be honest. But to break myself out of that habit, I've been crocheting again. I picked that up, and I bought a set of Tunisian crochet hooks with like cables attached to them, so you can make like huge afghans all in one go instead of having to like make panels or granny squares or anything like that. So considering I have zero patience, it's a blessing that I can make a whole afghan just straight across. And I haven't crocheted since I was in junior high. I think like that was the last time I ever really made anything, and I never really made anything. Like, I did like small things, like I would make little scrunchies because that was the time, and that was really it. But I made one blanket already, and it was kind of ugly because I started it with the stitch that I knew, which was like the basic Tunisian knit stitch that sort of makes like this really sort of cute grid pattern. And then I came across a honeycomb stitch afghan, and I wanted to try that. So like a third of the way through the blanket, I just switched and started doing that. And so I actually really liked the way the honeycomb stitch looked a lot more. So I had to like obviously make another blanket that was all the honeycomb stitch. So now I have like a basement cousin blanket that I threw it in my chair, and I've just been working on my new one. And my new one is actually really pretty. I found a giant skein of yarn that was like over 1,000 yards of fabric, and I think this blanket calls for like almost 900 yards, so perfect. And I really like the colors, and I'm happy, and I get excited when the colors change because it's sort of like, it's almost self-striping but not quite self-striping. I think the gauge was a little off for me, but also the pattern I'm using wasn't intended to be used with the self-striping, or whatever. It's cute. But yeah, so I've been crocheting, and I downloaded a bunch of TV shows that have like 1 or 2 seasons, because I can't commit to like One Piece or something where it's like a whole bunch of stuff to watch. I just kind of want like something short so that I don't get bored, because I really don't enjoy watching TV. I figured out, I think that has to do with like the situation I was in, where that was all I did was watch TV, and it was always like these multi-season shows, and it was shows I didn't really like. And so it kind of put me off of the whole idea of watching TV. But I'm trying to enjoy things a little bit more and enjoy downtime a little bit more. And so I put on, what did I just watch? The Feed, which apparently may or may not have been canceled. And with the writer's strike and the SAG strike going on, I doubt that it's going to have another season. So I just enjoyed it for what it was. And of course it ended on a huge cliffhanger, as the good shows always do. but I liked it. So the feed that was on Amazon. What am I watching now? Dead Ringers. Dead Ringers with Rachel Weisz playing twin sisters who are doctors. I'm confused, but intrigued. Rachel Weisz is fun to watch. Be two people. She's good at it. It's fun. But yeah, so I sit and I crochet and then I watch my random canceled show. And at least, I'm not just consuming media, and, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to sit there and act like it's a problem, but I do want to actually, get away from it a little bit, just a little bit. My screen time was a little high this week. I have a little digital well-being thing that pops up every Sunday and tells me how much I was on my phone, and the screen time for the past week went up a little bit, and so I'm just trying to walk that back, and so I'm crocheting and watching TV shows more. And while to some people that might not be any better, it is for me. It's better for me, and that's all that matters, right? Something else that came up this week that I realized I needed to let go of. I don't want to get too specific, but I had a moment where I was talking to someone and I just had this feeling of, it was like a little light bulb went off, and I was just like, this person is not holding this person isn't holding as much space for me as I have been for them. And I'm realizing that, the moment where you find out that your best friend doesn't consider you to be their best friend, it was kind of like that. And I just realized that I have a habit of, because I don't have a lot of people in my life, especially with the past couple of years where there was a lot of leaving behind certain people. I don't have a lot of people in my life, and so I realized that I had this tendency to cling where maybe I shouldn't have, and place more importance on certain people that maybe they weren't deserving of. And the realization kind of hurt a little bit. It stung, I'm not gonna lie, but it was something necessary. And now that I'm aware that I don't need to hold as much space for this person, that just means I'm making room for someone else. And hopefully that space will be filled at some point. But for right now, I'm rocking with myself, and that's fine. I always feel a little weird about being the girl that doesn't have any friends, because there's all this discourse online about people saying, oh, if somebody doesn't have any friends, it's usually them, they're the problem, they're toxic or whatever. And I know myself, and I know what the truth of the situations that I found myself in, and the reason why certain people aren't in my life anymore. And I can admit my role in the situation, but I'm also well aware of the fact that it wasn't me every single time. It honestly wasn't. I mean, on a certain level, I was choosing to chase bonds with people who maybe they weren't right for me, and so that was my fault. But also, some people are just shitty sometimes, and especially with Agatha hovering around the corners of my life, it definitely wasn't me every single time. It's just a difference of opinion, difference of how you relate to one another, and just not speaking the same language, I guess, as other people. Anyone who is any kind of neurodivergent individual knows that dealing with people who aren't neurodivergent in any way at all, it's just like you're speaking a completely different language. Like there's just no relating sometimes. Like it's just so different, and it's just so sometimes very difficult to overcome those differences. So yeah, I am the girl with no friends, and as a girl with no friends, I can say that I would rather have no friends than have the kind of friends that I had accepted in the past. That's just how it is. Also, I am outside, obviously, and it's kind of chilly. I'm happy about it. I'm sitting in the sun, but my nose is obviously running, like always. So I apologize for the sniffling. If you can hear it, you probably can. I'm sorry. I know it's annoying. Actually, hold on, I'm fine. Okay, that's probably better. What else? I'm gonna change subjects here to acknowledging that I haven't gotten to travel anywhere near as much as I would have liked to travel, and I do want to change that for next year. Like, especially with my birthday approaching, I'm realizing I'm not getting any younger. Like, the traveling's not going to get any easier. Obviously, I'm not like saying I got one foot in the grave, but like, passing of time is always going to be a reminder that, you know, there's more you could do. So anyway, I'm going to make it a point to travel more than I have in the past. And I have a couple of ideas for where I'd like to go. And I'm actually like writing things down and like setting aside money, planning to set aside money for a trip. So I will actually be doing that next year. Again, me. I just never really prioritized traveling in the past, and I regret that a lot, because this world is way too big to have only ever seen one very, very, very small part of it. I haven't ever lived anywhere else than the place that I was born, and I've only ever left the state that I was born in twice, maybe 3 times. Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. And like, part of it is the fact that in my growing up the way that I did with a single mom, there wasn't really money to travel. There also wasn't time to travel because she was supporting a family, and so she had to work 2 jobs. So there wasn't really any such thing as vacation time. And so growing up seeing that no one ever really went on vacation, it basically normalized not doing that, not traveling, not really making time to explore the world. And I want to change that. So that's, the new moon, full moon energy, and also breaking generational curses. That's pretty dope. I'm actually pretty excited about that. But anyway, I realized that, the lack of balance in my life from only ever going to work and going home definitely led to a lot of the unhappiness that I felt towards my job. I hate working. I just hate it. And like, I know nobody wants to work. Like, nobody really likes their job. Nobody really likes having to work to earn money. But like, I really, really, it's just like, I started reading this book, and it encourages you to like write about your thoughts on work. Like, what does it mean to you? Like, what's the purpose? And and not just like write down like a job description or anything like that, but like genuinely get to the heart of like what work means to you. And like I really couldn't write anything because I hate working. Like I genuinely don't like the idea that I have to do something for a certain amount of time to get money, and then if I want more money, I have to spend more time doing something that I don't want to do. And guess where that comes from? I swear it's always Agatha. It's always Agatha. Like that deep don't tell me what to do thing. It's definitely from that. But anyway, we're working through it, and part of making it more tolerable to earn a living is going to be me making time to live outside of earning the living. What's the point of making the money if you don't ever do anything with it and you don't ever get to enjoy it? Like I've seen people who just work like insane hours where like they're working overnights and then they roll it over into the next day and they're just like back to back. I don't understand the point of that. And it's like, yeah, you're making good money, but what's the point of the good money if you're never in your home to actually enjoy it? Like what, you get the money to buy a nice house, but then you're never in the house because you're always at work. You get the money so you have a nice car, but then you don't drive the car anywhere except to work. And you make all this money because you want to have vacations, but then you don't take the vacations until you're retired. And when you're retired, you're like, what, 70? Considering the way money is now. It's just not worth it. To me, anyway. And so, to sort of like give myself a treat, I guess, as like, when a kid does something that they don't really want to do, and you get them like candy or something. This is my candy. This is the only thing I have to look forward to, and that's fine. It's better than having the unbalanced lifestyle that I was living before, where it was just like go to work and go to work and then go to work and then go to work and then go to work. And then you get a week off for vacation, but then you don't go anywhere because you don't have time to you don't take the time to plan anything to go anywhere. And so then you just basically spend the time around the house, and then you go back to work, and then you go back to work, and then you go back to work, and then you go back to work. And basically what that made me was a very angry individual because there was no balance. So the full moon is encouraging balance, for sure. Something else that came up, or something that I've been doing more often, is the movie Inception, where they have like their totems or whatever that tells them when they're in the dream and when they're not. So I've been using certain images or words and phrases that if I hear them just like going throughout my day, I take it as like a little wake up reminder. And so I have different words that I use. Like one of them is flamingo. Anytime I see a flamingo or someone mentions a flamingo, I make a note if I can't actually stop and write. But usually I take that as a sign to write. And so like I'll be scrolling on TikTok, and all of a sudden there'll be a guy rambling on about something, and he'll be wearing a shirt with a little flamingo in it. And then I'm like, oh, shut it down. And so I close TikTok and I pull out my journal and I start writing. Or I'll put together a yoga flow, or I will make a song, something. I just use it as a sign to create or write. And there's other words that are symbols and things that pop up that mean different things. And it's been interesting, and sort of like, have you ever I'm all over the place. Have you ever heard of those stories where the person is like in a coma and they don't know, and then like people keep telling them to wake up, and like it keeps coming up over and over again? I feel like I'm like sleepwalking, and so that is my way to wake up and remind me that I am not just going to work, feeding myself, going through the motions, that I can do other things and branch out. So that's another change that I've been incorporating into my life, and it's made a difference, and it's definitely led me to some interesting things. I've written a lot more than I ever have. Like this current journal that I started, when did I start this? Let's see. In July, actually. It's almost full. And I've never actually filled a journal this quickly with writing. Like consistent writing. Usually if a journal gets filled, or like a notebook gets filled, it's with like random scrap things where like I was writing down doctor's appointments or like passwords for odd accounts that I had to create for whatever reason. But this is actually full of just writing. And that is so crazy because my last journal, it took me 8 to 10 months to fill. And that is also a combination of the artist way with the morning pages and also just the flamingo thing. I've been writing way more than I ever have. And I forgot how much I missed writing. So anyway, we are coming to the end of things. I'm in my little Savasana. I've been in Savasana for a minute. I think I'm going to come out of it soon. So, as I like to do, to extend a challenge to you guys, what are some things that you could change with this new, I keep saying new moon, but it's a full moon, the full moon energy. What could change in your life? And where do you think there could be growth? So, as I like to do when I end these, let's go ahead and take a deep breath in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 3, 2, 1. And breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Thank you guys so much for sitting with me, especially with all of my jumping around and rambling thoughts. I appreciate it, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and happy full moon.